for a serious step up in competition. Mauricio Almeida has built a formidable submission game over his career on the jungle fight and shooter circuits. Armbar in particular has been a consistent match winner. The triangular choke and rear naked choke round out a dangerous ground game that will be his primary route to victory. He's known as the choker, and you can bet your bottom dollar he's a serial strangler. Tough opponent for Anton Racic tonight. He stepped into the fight at short notice, just 2 weeks before the event, and returns to the cage 6 months after his last defeat. Never been knocked out in his career, but he's also competed in the bantamweight division. Tonight looks in good shape after that long journey, and at 28, he's in the prime years of his fight career. And comes to Europe with the hunger of a man looking to make a statement on this stage. The key question is whether he can match Racic's wrestling and get to the ground on his terms, or whether the Croatian's takedown defense forces a striking contest he may struggle in. So his multiple and notable wins are jungle fight and shooto victories, and established himself clearly as the South American contender in not only
opponent swaps. He had an Italian opponent, Argentinian opponent, very different styles. And you bring a black belt, you bring very strong MMA game, you bring a good amount of experience, and a guy in his prime, that could be the upset.
Mauricio Almeida! And now please welcome to the cage in the red corner at yesterday's weigh-in. He scaled 65.9 kilos. He's 35 years of age, standing at 165 centimeters tall. He brings an extensive record, 43 fights, 29 wins, 13 defeats and 1 draw. He's representing UFD Gym from Croatia. It's Anton "Killer" Racic!
From UFD Dusseldorf, Germany. A gym we know very well, and indeed, one of its most famous sons, former KSW champion, Anton Racic. We've commentated Anton through most of his career, haven't we, Chris?
One of those fighters that I really think has evolved and reinvented himself. And I have to say, what we saw last time against Ite Tratner or Luis Miguel Alar, for example, that's the new Anton Racic. Despite the loss of Barrio, you have to love this guy. He's a true veteran and a wonderful character.
Well, one of the most decorated fighters ever to come out of Croatian MMA. Racic reached the summit of KSW's bantamweight division, making him one of the very few domestic fighters to win a title at one of Europe's premier promotions. So 13 taps on his record underlines an encyclopedic grappling knowledge. He's also a sharp boxer, capable of imposing volume and pace on his feet. At 35, 43 professional fights behind him. His ring IQ is as high as anyone on this card, and I have to say, his physique naturally lends itself to the weight and to wrestling. Very, very modest stature, shorter legs than body size, and that makes his grappling hugely dangerous.
Yeah, exactly like that, and we've seen him in some classics. We've seen him in some amazing fights. Zuriko Jajua, he lost, but that was competitive with the wrestling. The Jakub Vikwac, the Sebastian Cherbish fight, for example, excellent wrestling. And the wins over Santos or Stasiak, Politiwo, the win over Cherbish. So there's a lot to write home about of where his grappling defined the fights. But I think over the years, especially in the last year or so, he really put an emphasis on going up in weight and bringing big power. And we saw that in a couple of the knockouts, 2 of which, were very unexpected and impressive wins. So I really like where he's at right now, and that's the most important thing. not what your history is at 35, but where you're going, the man you want to become.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's developed this knockout power at the higher rate, because he used to be a distance guy. Always went the full 3 or full 5. Just didn't have stoppage on the radar. But new Memo, new Anton, and he is tearing it up right now on the FNC circuit. I think he's found his natural home, and he rules supreme. Let's see how he does tonight against a tough opponent in Almeida.
Anton Killer Racic!
At featherweight, scheduled for 3.
And this MMA rules bout takes place in the minus 65.8 kilogram featherweight division. This bout will be contested over 3 5-minute rounds, and your referee in charge when the action gets underway, Mr. Ilya Lucic. Fighters to the center, please, for your final instructions.
Referee Lucic,
Gentlemen, you know the rules.
walk
Fight
them through,
Mr. My commands at all times.
but I get the sneaky feeling
Touch gloves.
that Racic is going to come out of the traps. Slight height advantage, visibly obvious to Mauricio Almeida. Give us the numbers, Chris.
At 145 pounds, it's 2 veterans. Of course, Racic is 6 years older, significantly more experienced. We saw Almeida actually half a kilo right on the edge of the limit. The fight will proceed, though. Half a kilo over, maybe that'll be a factor, especially being short notice.
So, fighting southpaw, Almeida, forcing this into an open match. Open stance match. I thought Racic would get to work throwing earlier. Well, from my lips to his ears. On the job and getting busy. And I mentioned the natural physique of Racic, that low center of gravity that allows him in the grappling. Huge advantage because you track the legs down, but of course that's not the complete story. His body length extremely long in statistical comparison to the leg length. Get straight in and just look at the sheer power, throwing shots, just really aggressive here. And in this MMA matchup, the boxing skills from a wrestler of Racic's note are exceptional.
You might be surprised, Will, that he actually trained at Roberto Soldic's gym for this fight, RRC, so maybe we'll get to see some shades of that. Of course, different weight classes, but that's not a bad impression to have upon you for your camp.
Well, of course, Soldic was a former member of UFD, then went off to the one promotion. I think he'd be the first to admit that it didn't work out as he would have wanted it to, but I'm glad to see that he's back. And look at this, Racic, having trained there with Soldic, has got the striking, but the takedown never goes. The wrestling, the grappling, it's always there. Beautiful slide away from the wire, made it look real easy. And Almeida on the deck, in the position that Racic works in. I mean, this is his office, he's at his desk.
Yeah, excellent pressure. Cage wrestling is Racic's specialty. It always was. It always was. I'll never forget when he welcomed Pavel Politiwo to KSW in his pro debut. What a nightmare. And Racic here now having to fish to try to pass and avoid the arm lock. Nicely done. Almeida was thinking about opening up his guard for an attack, but it's going to be tough. Racic puts you in the worst of spaces, Will.
Yeah, he's absolutely a monster when it comes to shutting down space, oxygen, ring size. I mean, he's a monster. And, well, Almeida's finding that. He's on his back. We're still 2 minutes 20 odd in this round, and it's going to be a tough night in the office for the Brazilian.
This is all smart, because if there was any risk of going into a very different opponent where Racic had to change across multiple camps for different styles, this is an easy way to take it away, Will, because you just get him tired. You get him hurt, frustrated, mentally exhausted. It's a smart tactic from Racic.
And this is what I said about the, you know, the body. Just look at how the legs are able to compact underneath Racic, but the body length from hips to shoulders just allows him to get on top and cause the damage. And that's exactly what he does. It's an incredible physical athlete. attribute that advantages him. And then, of course, he's got the power to come up through the legs, to get up and stay on top and just ram and pile drive his man into the wire.
And he can do this all day. We've seen him do it for 5 rounds. He was always that guy. When you got the call and said, hey, by the way, you're another number 1 contender. Okay. Not easy. Let's see what Racic can do here. I'd like to see him stand and pass and pop that guard open, Will, because when Almeida is compressed, almost folded like this, it's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, and I think Racic wants to soften his man up first, give him a little taste of the Racic wrestling to open it up first. And so I don't think he's in a hurry to do anything. And, well, created a little bit of space, the Brazilian, and got his head away from the wire. But look at that, Racic throws those shots in there, and that makes you want to lean back, and in that instant, he just slides you back up against the wire. So it's a world of pain there for Almeida, coming in at short notice, traveling that distance, and then having to deal with Racic.
Yeah, the worst of occasions. I'm impressed by his flexibility. He's been going for this triangle for about 2.5 minutes, Will. He's got to the crooked guard, but watch Racic just stand up. He's going to have none of it here. There's no way he's going to allow that. Lovely slam, perfect.
Yeah, slam dunk. Bangs his man onto the canvas. Packing heavy, Anton.